Right, back now. Is local government an issue for you? Is there something that you want to get off your chest? Well, we've got the South African Local Government Association on set with us today, and we're chatting a little bit about some of the things that they've been able to do, some of the things that they've been championing, and progress being made, and I guess also some of the things that they still need to overcome. We also have the National Council of Provinces that are also another voice for you in Parliament. And you can raise your questions and your concerns with them. And we've got an audience here that have been putting questions to our panel. And we go to table 4, where we'll find Dan Shongwe.
Thank you, Peter, with your panelists. My question is, what has local government achieved for the past 15 years? Thank you.
All right, hang on. Before you sit down, I want to ask you, what have you seen that's raised this question?
He must answer.
No, I've seen a lot of things that I can mention.
All right.
But added to my own things that I've seen, maybe the leadership have seen more.
Oh, okay. All right. So this looks like a question to facilitate some praising of your organization. So it's been 15 years, and we can't deny, and you've mentioned some stats, that there's been some progress and things that... But I suspect that it's not so much that people don't think you're making progress, but when I hear the conversation that's happening here, the issue really has been the pace of change. And maybe some people are starting to lose patience. So they need to be convinced that you've learned from these challenges and that they need to hold on. I guess this is really the question here, because progress has been made, but are you doing it fast enough? Because we've lost a lot of time because of some of the challenges that you've raised now.
You know, this question, although I will give it to George, but it reminds me of when I was doing my political work, going door to door. There was an old lady standing by the door of the so-called RDP house, and she was saying, this government is doing nothing for us. I then asked her, ma'am, did this government build this house that you are standing on? I said, yeah, no, they did. Is this kid getting a grant? Because there were little kids playing there. Because I heard you saying they don't even have a father. I said, yes, they also are getting a grant. So do they go to school? Yes. Do they get food there, nutritional food at school? Say yes. So, oh no. Is that not government work? But the main thing is, of course, we expect government to do those things. So to us, it's nothing. You know, those are what we are expected to be doing. But I think South Africans are saying we need more. And sometimes this more becomes a problem. Exactly what is it? Because at the same time, there are those that are not even getting some of the basics. So we have to go and reach for those who still are, in a way, in a queue, to also be able to confidently stand up in front of their houses and say, no, government is doing nothing for us.
Okay. Mr. George,
Peter, can I just come in before Xolile deals with the other administrative issues? You know, one other thing that I find quite interesting in what you were saying, 15 years, what have we learned? Are we moving at what speed and so forth? One thing I've learned out of this program of the Provincial Week, and in particular this week, when we started yesterday, the inputs and the discussions that ensued, was to then say, SALGA saying to the National Council of Provinces, one, we are over-regulated. Two, there are pieces of legislation that you have passed as National Parliament that has got a negative knock-on effect on us as ALGA to perform or to do what is expected of us to do. Isn't it time now that we pause and look at the pieces of legislation that you have passed as Parliament? Where there's a need for amendments, let us amend. Where there's a need to improve certain things at a national level, let's do that. And to me, it's a positive thing that I would then comfortably say the provincial week bringing us together allows us that opportunity to then begin to reflect on some of these things and say, how then do we improve in moving forward? And the provincial week has allowed us that opportunity. One aspect, for instance, that also came out yesterday, which is a very interesting thing, the program ever since it was launched, we then began to grapple with the question, to what extent have we put in place mechanisms to work together in such a way that we see things through? We do oversight on what we had partnered on. And not wait until next year, September, and then we begin to pause and reflect. And when that time, a lot of things that happened that could have been resolved, that could have been dealt with if we had put in systems. And I'm sure at the end of this week, we are going to come out with a resolution that then begin to put those systems in place to complement the kind of work that SALGA is doing in provinces.
Again, it's about convincing people, because we've heard these conversations before, where we say we are going to do this, we resolve, we've passed a resolution, we've etc. And that some people have run out of patience with these. And so, what is it about this administration? What is it about this era and this time that's going to be different? Mr. George?
Well, Peter, at the risk of repeating a good story for local government, I guess we should do that because it is the correct thing to do. The provision of water, electricity, education that is done by provincial government, sanitation, and the whole basket of services that exclusively are done by local government. The majority of our citizens are receiving these services daily, and it is a good story for the last 15 years. Now, as we go forward, there's quite a lot of challenges that municipalities face, and I think we need to ramp up innovative way to undermine these constraints in such a way that creatively we can bring answers. We've seen municipalities that today, without asking this panel, go and ask a citizen of Soweto, and ask a Soweto of 1999, and ask a Soweto of today. And whether the answer is not lying on the strong leadership of a municipality. You do the same to the city of Tshwane. These are just but examples that we have brought to Parliament yesterday. Citizens of Tshwane, apart from the core set of basic services, the city provides free Wi-Fi access that enables a child in Soshanguve, in Marabastad, a child that is in Atteridgeville, that otherwise, without this kind of enabling environment, would not easily go and do his assignment anywhere sitting in the city, or even apply for a job online. Now, if that is a work that must not be celebrated by South Africans, we must ask the question, what needs to be celebrated? The third issue, right, our cities undermining spatial disintegration that was done through apartheid. A child can live in Soweto to attend a school in Randburg using a BRT system, unprecedented system in South Africa for public transport transformation. You do the same in Tshwane, and you do the same in Cape Town. Now, these are impactful issues that are meant to ensure that integration of community and the ease of doing work is done. You go to many areas. Today, we will be talking about innovative practices on dealing with the national challenge of energy that our country faces. Newcastle municipality, for the last 4 years that we have been grappling with load shedding, they could not have load shedding. Citizens, they read about load shedding. What has happened? The municipality innovatively implement programs that are aimed at ensuring that they can use technology to make sure that they ease these issues. Same as Johannesburg. So I'm saying these are just but issues. So back to basic is the central question going forward. If we continue to do right things at local government, we will be able to explain the interface between citizens and the municipality. And one of those issues is about the need for citizens to understand what we normally call relative deprivation. You see somebody protesting next door, not because in Ward 4 there's no delivery, but because there's ward delivery in Ward 1. So people are pushing the municipality to accelerate the pace. So we agree, we need to push up the pace so that everybody has access.
Deprivation, that's a new term. Thank you very much indeed. Let's go to table 1 where we'll find Jomo Nyambi. And I think this question has been partly answered by some of your comments, but perhaps it will point us to other areas as well. Jomo Nyambi, table number 1.
Thank you, Peter, and your panelists. As the drafters of the Constitution has made it clear that the National Council of Provinces have all these spheres of government that are interdependent, distinctive, and interrelated. My question is, as SALGA and NCOP are the one that organize this local government week, what are the lessons learned to avoid the practicality sometimes of seeing the action where they are working in silos that can assist us to be able to move our country forward?
Okay, lessons learned this week.
No, thank you very much for the question, Peter and Choma. I think the question points us to who are we? Why are we elected as a sector? What is our responsibility? And the key issue then becomes, to what extent are we effective in doing oversight as public representatives? And I must say, lessons of this week points us to a direction that then begins to say, one, yes, we need to collaborate because we cannot also be seen to be encroaching on another sphere. And also as the NCOP, we can't be seen as a big brother with a big stick instructing the local sphere what to do and what not to do, including provinces. Because what the Constitution then began to say, and I think that was the intelligence of the drafters, to then create an environment in which these three spheres, much as they are distinctive, there must be an interrelation in the kind of work that they do. There must be coordination. There must be a seamless approach in doing what? In providing services to our people. Because that Constitution, it's not only a mechanical process that came about. It is it's a product that is intended at guiding us on how to deliver and improve the lives of ordinary South Africans. So in whatever work that we do, we are informed of that. And therefore, that linkage, that coordination becomes quite critical and important. Hence, we have this kind of an activity for the week where SALGA will then be able to say to us, this is where we think you need to improve. You know, one other thing that is quite important, which is something that has been coming for many years. And yesterday, there was an appreciation to say that we need to do more on it. What is it? The participation of SALGA at the committee level, insofar as the NCOP is concerned. How do we improve on that? How do we strengthen the capacity of SALGA? Not to come in at the point when the legislation is passed in the House, but to influence it at the point of entry. And then also to work with the public representatives, members of the NCOP, in lobbying them either to pass or reject a piece of legislation.
I'm still trying to find in my mind a clarity of thought in terms of, you talk about National Council of Provinces representing the provinces' interests, but the people sitting in Parliament come from provinces and areas. Surely when they go and sit in Parliament, they've got all of these things in mind already anyway.
Yes, of course, Peter.
Yes.
But must also bear in mind that being, for instance, being from the Northern Cape, in Kimberley, I might not know exactly what is happening in Kubus. And therefore it will be important for me to then get information from Kubus. But I might be speaking on behalf of my city and the area or location where I am. But equally so, it therefore becomes important to then say, as I represent the interests of my province, I need to work with other provinces in ensuring that we do this kind of work. How do we do that? We then creatively came up with a mechanism which ordinarily the president, for instance, and the deputy president are allocated space to address the National Council of Provinces. The first person would be the deputy president in March or April, and then the president in November. But then beyond that, we then said, how do we involve the ordinary citizens of South Africa? How do we create space for the president not only to address us in sitting in the House, but create that space where the president would also be able to engage with the citizen? Then we came up with another flagship program referred to as Taking Parliament to the People, because the rules and the Constitution allowed for a sitting outside of the precinct of Parliament. So we would go out to a specific province, a specific district, in most instances the most rural, poor, where ordinarily people would never have access to Parliament. And in that instance, at the end of the week, the president would then address the House, but equally so, be addressing the majority of our people in that.
All right. Okay, we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue to explore these issues. We've probably got about another 20 or so minutes. So at Morning Live SABC, if something has come up that you'd like to raise, please do so. We've also got questions from the floor coming up after this. Stay with us.